Entitled Mom at the Park. The park is not your free babysitter. It is a public space and you still have to parent your kid while there. When you don't, it ruins public spaces for everyone else. Husband and I took our daughter to the park. There were 2 women there with their kids playing. At our park there is 3 separate playgrounds and we always try to take our daughter to an empty one if possible because she is only 1.5 and kind of slow moving on the equipment, and we know that can be annoying to older kids wanting their turns. That's what we did this time, and the group of kids followed us to the playground, which happens a lot, and we are totally okay with it. Our baby loves watching older kids go down the slide, etc. We will usually get on the equipment with her to make sure she doesn't fall off the top of the slide or do something crazy since she's so little. Especially when other kids are playing, so we can help her along quicker and the other kids can get their turns. One of the boys was probably about 4 or 5 years old, was being super aggressive and literally trying to force past us to go down the slide while we were trying to help our daughter take her turn. We were literally having to block him from bulldozing her with our bodies, and he was pushing and shoving us. We both were saying stuff like, "We have to take turns. Don't push me. Keep your hands to yourself." The moms were close by but did nothing. We decided to take our daughter to one of the other empty playgrounds, and as soon as we are on our way, he starts running to the same playground. I turn around and go to a different playground. He follows us around 4 times, doing the same thing each time, wanting the specific slide our daughter is going down, being pushy, putting his hands on us. Finally, we are at the top of one of the taller slides, and he is literally shoving my husband, and we are trying to keep him off of our daughter, and he's arguing with us, telling us to let him through, etc. We are saying, "Keep your hands to yourself. It's not your turn," etc. At this point, it is unsafe for my daughter. I'm tired of the mom just ignoring this. I ask the kid who his mom is. He tells me. I yell to the mom that her kid is literally shoving us and won't stop. The mom looks at me and says, "Okay." I'm mad at this point. I go down the slide with my baby, and she walks over to me and says, "He's been tested for autism multiple times, so maybe consider that before you get an attitude about it." I basically told the lady that I'm sorry they are going through that, but I do not care what he has going on. His behavior is unacceptable. This woman proceeds to just act like I'm being crazy for saying anything to her, says stuff like, "You need to understand he's autistic. He's a kid. And you are at the park, person, medium light female." I stand firm, saying I don't care, he can't put his hands on me or my baby. I ask her would she be okay with some kid following her around, shoving her literal baby around. She asks me how many times he's put his hands on us and suggests that next time I let her know the first time it happens. She does not tell her child to stop. She doesn't address it with him. Just keeps repeating to me, "He's autistic. I don't know what to tell you." I am just beyond frustrated and lose my cool a little, and told the mom if her kid has so many issues she is aware of, maybe she needs to be a little more active in her parenting when she's in public with other kids around, and that I feel bad for her son. We left the park after that, but I genuinely could not believe that happened. I am a pediatric RN, and I have so much compassion for kids with all types of disabilities. But it is so crazy to claim that your child should just get to do whatever he wants and put his hands on strangers just because he is autistic. If I had a child that struggled like that, I would be paying very close attention to keep my child safe. You never know how a stranger or another child is going to react to your kid getting physical with them. I'm all for accommodations, but I will not enable behavior like that, especially when it's directed at my child. I genuinely don't care what circumstances you have going on. Your kid does not get to repeatedly put their hands on other people. Just because your child is possibly neurodivergent doesn't mean you are entitled to let them do whatever they want and put their hands on people. What it does mean is you are more than likely going to have to work harder and be more active than the typical parent. Is it fair? No. But those are the cards you are dealt. I don't know where this sense of entitlement came that everyone just has to deal with your kid's aggressive behavior in public, but PSA, I'm not enabling that kind of tomfoolery. If you don't want people to catch an attitude, get off your lazy butt and actively watch and parent your kid. My mill almost broke our marriage after staying with us in my postpartum period. Truly entitled behavior. Me and my husband had a disagreement about who should stay with us after the birth of our baby, whether his mom or my mom or both. The presence of a grandmother was mainly needed to help in child care and new mom care. My mill has a habit of finding flaws in everything anyone does and is always a victim in every situation. She is always brooding about how life has been unfair to her, as she had a strict mill and her own daughter, my husband's elder sister, has a terrible marriage, and how her mill is an evil witch and makes my SIL slog. The only thing running in my mill's mind is bitterness towards anyone who seems to have a speck of happiness in their marital life. She disses women who have undergone C-section surgery as they chose the easy way out. She calls the women of today's generation weak and selfish, as they are not undergoing the pains of the labor. Yada yada, many other things that will make your blood boil. Anyway, my husband said he couldn't hurt his mom by not having her here during the birth of her first grandchild, and that he is her only son, and she will feel alienated if we don't call her. I think she wanted to be here only to assert her importance and preach about how great a mother she has been, because she feels irrelevant in her children's life. Cut to the birth of my daughter. My mom and mill are both in our house. I needed my mom because I was not comfortable with anyone except my own mother about how my body looked. My baby could not latch, and we got whichever pump everyone around was using. I got a pre-loved Spectra, and my mill once happened to see how it pumped milk. She laughed at my face and called me a cow. She had never seen a pump before, but I don't think that's the right thing to say to a woman who is grieving the loss of her figure and missing her old self so much. I hadn't slept for 10 days properly and was emotional, sleep-deprived, feeling depressed about my state, and in general, just pissed off from her rant about how difficult her daughter's postpartum had been. I swear to God, something inside me just died. I developed so much bitterness for my husband for exposing me to this emotional turmoil for no good reason, all to keep his mom happy. My mind kept replaying the scenarios in which my husband prioritized his sister and his mom. In my most vulnerable time, he chose to give more value to his mother, who was nothing but a pain to me. I broke down in front of my husband after this cow comment. My husband was furious at his mom. He didn't confront her in front of me, but he was unhappy and expressed this to his mom. The baby won't latch, and I was overproducing milk, so I had no other option but to pump. I hated holding the milk bottles and the wires and the noise of that pump. There was something so animal-like about that pumping experience, and someone seeing me pump like that made me feel terrible. I conveyed this to my husband, and he empathized with me. My mill also found it funny that a baby's latch could hurt my nipples. Deep inside, I was distancing from my husband mentally. His life had not changed. He could resume work. He did not undergo an ounce of change in his body. My breasts were engorged. I couldn't sit well because of episiotomy stitch. My hand pained from the drip insertion. My boobs constantly leaked milk. And in this dire situation, there was a woman who laughed at my situation and downplayed my struggles and kept ruminating about her daughter's postpartum situation. Pumping fixed to a chair every 2-3 hours made these feelings worse. My husband constantly tried to make me feel better by small gestures, but the fact that he didn't ask his mom to leave when her presence was constantly so pressurizing to me made me hate him so much. He got me some Stacy wearable pump from a friend's Rico. At least it removed the feeling of pumping like a dairy animal. No wires. My physical pain got better because maybe I didn't have to keep sitting with my shoulders straight. Things were beginning to get better. My vaginal bleeding also came to an end. I had delivered normally. Pumping was easier, and also the feeling of not wearing a damn pad reduced a lot of discomfort. My mill left after 45 days of my delivery because she wanted to show her friends that she stayed for my postpartum period and served me and did all the traditions and whatnot. Best day of my life. I didn't even tell my mill something like, "Visit us soon," because honestly I was so scared that she might take it as a hint and overstay or come back. But I still had a lot of pent-up rage about the things she told me, like, "You're not the only working woman who has given birth. You should eat fast and look after the baby each second. When will your tummy go inside?" She told my husband, "You need to give some gold to your sister. It is a tradition." All this while she gave me or my daughter nothing, and expecting my husband to reward the sister for no reason. I decided to undergo therapy, and I am at so much more peace now. The things I uncovered in therapy are a story of another day, but I will remember how she treated me when I was at my most vulnerable self. I have learned to judge people by their actions solely, not what they say. Her actions made me feel reduced, depressed, and hell, I even considered breaking my marriage. Sometimes it does trigger my old repressed emotions of how she treated me, but I take solace in the fact that she doesn't stay with us, and I didn't purposely choose for her to be in my life. She has shown me who she truly is, and I am grateful for having seen her true self. I have decided to protect myself and my marriage from her. My husband has accepted his mistake of not placing me first during my postpartum period and apologized profusely. I could never directly breastfeed, but it became a blessing in disguise as I could feed my baby a lot of pumped milk timely and develop a sleep schedule. I made sure she drank enough milk during the day and slept so well at night. With a later positive experience of exclusive pumping, I got the much-needed rest, and I could give a benefit of doubt to my husband. My husband drew appropriate boundaries with his mom after this stressful phase of our marriage. He realizes that this could have been an end to our marriage, and I am glad he did that. If you are a new mom and are exclusively pumping, don't let anyone make you feel less of a mom, especially not your mill. Coming around the idea maybe, it wasn't always a me issue. Get a cup of tea, and I'm sorry for how long this will be. Setting the scene itself will take a while. No pressure to read all of this, but this entire absurd situation is making me realize that perhaps I am not the crux of the issue. I 35F have the BRCA2 gene, and I had to get a prophylactic double mastectomy. I had the surgery Tuesday of this week. My mom, 65, and dad, 66, offered to help me with my surgery preparation and recovery. They are both retired and live 10 minutes away, so this makes sense. Mom is an ovarian cancer survivor who also has the BRCA gene. I live in a small, cozy house. It's my sanctuary. There is no place I am happier. I have a dog, a fenced-in yard, and once I'm inside, no stairs, as it is a single level. I always wanted to recover at my house. At every opportunity we spoke about the surgery plan, my parents talked about how it would be much easier if I recovered at their house. On and on. Then they'd talk about all the ways recovery at my house would be a mistake. I'm no stranger to surgeries. I've had 14 in the last 5 years. This surgery was by far the most emotionally loaded. It's the only surgery I've ever pre-grieved. Losing your boobs sucks. Anytime I said this, my parents would say, "At least you didn't also have cancer," as an aside, which is true but not particularly helpful. So with all the emotional weight and complex feelings, I didn't also feel like navigating my additional unpleasant, rock the boat, parental dynamics, and I offered wave the flag, really, to move into their house for the initial recovery of surgery, up through when I can presumably walk my dog and drive again. This is agreed about 4 months in advance. This is also the first point my surgery now becomes about their convenience, and I should have kept my ground here in the first place. 2.5 months before my surgery, I had been researching stories of people who had the DMX procedure I specifically was getting. My mom had a DIEP, which is different, and I compiled a list of things I wanted to have for surgery that others found helpful. Some of it would ideally be bought in bulk, to avoid laundry, dishes, etc. in the immediate aftermath. Some of it also would be bulk solely for volume, like bath wipes. I asked my dad if he'd mind picking these up at Costco, but if not, I could just order them through my Instacart since it gives me access to Sam's Club at a small fee. He says no need, he'll happily grab them. 2 months before surgery, they're about to head out for a 3.5-week cruise in Italy. He calls me at Costco and says he doesn't feel like doing a big shop now. He'll do it the week they return from the trip. No worries, I'll still have 5 weeks to order any stuff you can't get at Costco if you go soon after the trip. Except, he doesn't. They get back from the trip and once again, he calls me at Costco, but then says we probably actually have some of this left over from Mom's surgery and tells me to confer with her to get a list. This frustrates me because they live together in the same house with the objects being inventoried. Surely they could collaborate on my 12-item list to cross-reference, without me badgering and being the inertia behind each action. 2 weeks before surgery, I go over for an unrelated dinner and they still haven't conferred the list, so since I'm physically at their house, I do it myself and provide my dad an updated list. He says he will go to Costco that weekend. He gets busy that weekend and doesn't go. He then goes 7 days before surgery and assured me he got everything on the list. Excellent, thank you so much. I go over 5 days before surgery for a holiday party, find out he actually only bought 1/3 of the list because he decided I didn't need a lot of the items on the list and just didn't tell me. Cue me ordering things in a panic at that point. I had the surgery Tuesday. Some of the shit won't get here until Saturday, so there is an actual inconvenience to this happening. Revering in time. When I agreed to move into my parents' house for surgery, it was during the holidays to accommodate their multiple vacations. We live in Pennsylvania, and I had a lot of peripheral planning to do in regards to leaving my house unsupervised for months in winter. Who's dripping the faucets in 8-degree weather? Also, because I'd have limited capacity to vacuum or clean by myself, I wanted to do a deep, spring, down and dirty clean of the entire house before moving into theirs. Helping me get my house ready to move to their house for 8 weeks was always supposed to be part of the plan we agreed on. The pre-surgery help was twofold, the cleaning and the moving of the packed items. When my parents came back from Italy 1 month before surgery, I start mentioning the deep clean time frame. We agree, in text and over the phone, to have the house cleaned fully prior to the weekend leading up to surgery, so during that final weekend, I can just pack and move with little stress. They're too jet-lagged week 1. Week 2, they had too many social emergencies amid their friends. The 3rd week she says she is coming but then never follows through. I could have badgered for a specific date, but again, in my head, if you're offering to help and actually want to help, you would. If it was a priority, you would find the time. At a certain point, if I have to prompt you to help, are you helping? Or adding to the mental load? Fast forward to the holiday dinner 5 days before surgery. House is 1/4 clean, I'm doing it alone. She never mentions the cleaning but does mention they will still come. Help me move the first load on Saturday. Saturday comes, they cancel, but say for sure they'll come Sunday, but only between 10-10:30 a.m. because they're going to some holiday mansions tour and lunch with their friends that afternoon and there is a sports game in the evening. Sunday they ask if I want them to come grab stuff, and I tell them not to come because I'm still cleaning and nothing is packed. At this point, I say, I am feeling a bit resentful in that you offered to help in these multitudes of ways, then didn't follow through on any of them without repetitive prompting and badgering, then ultimately didn't even show up or complete some of them, and this is making me feel unsupported in a surgery that is already really intense. I wasn't really looking for a solution so much as an acknowledgement that this inconvenience existed. My mom replies, I'm sorry you feel that way. My dad says, we've done so much to prepare for you. We decorated the house for Christmas. Never a priority to me, but okay. She doubles down with the I am sorry you think. All we have done so far is create a helping environment for you, non-apology, no accountability statements. She then calls me, saying I'm being unreasonable when they are being so generous. I say no. Our agreement in my moving in was predicated by help you both agreed to show up for and then didn't do. Those are facts, not my feelings. She immediately starts saying, okay, fine, I am the worst mother. I'm the world's worst mother, okay. Is that what you want to hear? Does that make you happy? I usually get inflammatory, and inside I was smoldering, but all fight in my just shrank away into this sad, exasperated, apathetic resignation. I said, that is hyperbolic. It's not helpful and it's not trying to find a solution. And she yelled, you're being hyperbolic and mean. I'll admit at that point I said, God help me, and hung up. Backstory. Anytime I did something wrong as a child, I had to write a multi-paragraph essay apology delineating what I did wrong, why and specifically how it troubled or inconvenienced someone else, and how I would either fix or avoid such things in the future. After we hung up, my mom sends a flurry of additional non-apologies that skirt that actual issues. I'm sorry we didn't help you move on Sunday. You told us not to come, isn't an apology and doesn't account for the multitude of ways you agreed to show up before then but didn't. But okay. I find myself, for the first time in a while, remembering what it is to be a belittled 9-year-old trembling with a rage so big it comes up in snot bubbles you cough up in a dark closet. I hadn't wept in a closet in a long fucking time. And I realized in that moment, maybe I shouldn't have to battle so hard to have people acknowledge they inconvenienced me. I think this is where my big anger point is. If you didn't want to do it, don't offer. At this point, I reach out to basically my entire network of non-family and say, I want to recover solo at my house. Would you be willing to help with dog things, cooking, etc.? I arranged to have someone spend the first night. I set up a revolving circle of folks stopping in the first 3 days, one of whom also had a DMX to help with things, as well as hearing a dog walker every other day. I obsessively accommodated my house for my limited movements, like I pre-opened jars and cups, moved everything to counter height, pre-scooped 30 days of dog food, set out all clothes and cookware in easy-reach spots, and so on. So I tell them, Sunday night, 2 days out now, that I am not trying to be spiteful in doing this, but given we cannot resolve even minor conflicts without a major collision, and given that I will be extremely physically vulnerable and emotionally raw after this, I am uncomfortable recovering with people whose caretaking doesn't account for my opinion on what feels supportive, comfortable, or safe. So I've made other plans, but if they would like to still be part of my care team, it would be great if they could visit every other day just for peace of mind. My mom originally agrees, but both parents say I am making an unreasonable, selfish decision, which endangers and complicates my life. This is bordering on offensive because, do you think you're the only people in my life that care about me? That I have no friends or anyone else who would help me? Monday morning, day before surgery, she calls and says she changes her mind. My mom said her therapist told her it is entirely reasonable to have and maintain a boundary, that she is only willing to help me recover if I move in with her and will not negotiate. If I do not want to accept her help in that way, or accept her, I'm sorry you feel that way, non-apology on not willing to compromise. It is my fault. And her reasoning for maintaining this boundary is that it is too emotionally painful for her to see me right now, because of what I'm doing to her in being so selfish. Recovering at my house when she already decorated her house for Christmas, which was never a priority to me, but okay. This made me realize a few things. I will concede, if it's actually that viscerally painful for her to show up for me as an equal, not as an adult vs. child imbalance, but as an equal who has asked for help in a specific way, and because it isn't the way she wants to do it, she refuses to help or find a middle ground, is a valid boundary to maintain. She is allowed to say it's my way or the highway. I won't budge. In the flip side, It is equally reasonable for me think having that boundary is inherently narcissistic, and even the need to create a boundary because me asserting autonomy is intolerable to her is also a selfish fucking take. They kept saying, "We won't fix our relationship before your surgery. Stop being stubborn and making your life harder and let us help you. All we want to do is create a healing and peaceful environment for you," etc., which is like crazy making. Because if they wanted to do that, surely they'd be cooperating in finding a middle ground that felt peaceful and comfortable for me. Instead of insisting, I move in with them regardless of how it made me feel. Lol. Alas, my mom ultimately said she shouldn't visit me at all if I feel unsafe with her, which is a wild statement since I said their behaviors made me feel emotionally unsafe, and I wouldn't have asked for her to visit if she made me feel physically unsafe. But sure, continue on the misdirections. On the drive down to surgery, my dad again told me I was being selfish and cruel, that I can't imagine the pain I am causing him and my mother through my stubbornness. In my opinion, I am not being stubborn. I am making the only choice I can to protect my mental health against two stubborn, emotionally immature parents. Their solution to this entire dilemma is that I should just bottle up my big feelings and move in with them for the benefit of everyone, and it is me being a stubborn asshole if I don't be more flexible. I'm confused though why they aren't seen as the stubborn asshole here, when isn't it equally possible that they just table their need to be correct, concede I won't be moving in and show up to help regardless? Like if one of us has to withdraw and give ground, it could be them. It doesn't always have to be me, especially here and now, lol. But then, all of this feels like I'm expecting too much of them, and that I am making a mountain out of nothing. But then I also feel like, yesterday, my dad wanting me to change my post-op appointment because it conflicted with his Thai Kai and golf lunch says a lot. And it is still wild to me, a 15-minute visit every other day is an impossible ask for two retired people to float. All this to say, I think there is a poignantly annoying symbolic parallel between BRCA2, my parents, my boobs, old patterns and old ways that are hidden daggers or ticking time bombs. Sometimes an upheaval of the old, removing and excising what isn't serving peace, is good medicine in relationships or health. Although I wouldn't wish a colossal familial implosion in the weekend before surgery on anyone, it continued even the morning of. I did ask my guides, the ether/the universe, if all the baggage that comes with my family will bubble up if I move in there. Please let it blow up while I can still make alternate arrangements so, while I am in a vulnerable physical state, I am not simultaneously feeling like an unheard, belittled 9-year-old again. Feeling really lucky to have the people in my corner that I do. I am really proud for little Joanna and current me, even knowing the fallout for choosing me. Both the surgery and the peripheral family stuff hurts in more ways than one, but a disruption to the old ways is sometimes necessary medicine for time bomb breasts, volcanic relationships. I will find a way forward even in this unsteady ground. But what a beautiful thing to have the new road forward's first steps paved with empowering, correct decisions. This knowing and self-assurance is itself so freeing and in many ways a relief.